Welcome to Rocky Broad Solar, where we encourage you to make the current flow. On today's episode, we're going to talk about installing Ring security camera ecosystem around your home and the tips and tricks to make your installation successful. Let's get into it. So there's many things you want to consider when planning out your Ring security camera installation, and you're really taking the time up front to plan your system and decide what's going to work for your individual needs is really going to ensure that you have a successful installation in the long run. So for my project, I ended up going with the Ring Spotlight Cam Plus outdoor cameras. They include a little floodlight, security light, and camera all in one. And then I had the Doorbell Hardwired for my doorbell. I already had an existing doorbell where this one went and took its place. I got the Ring Chime, where you just kind of plug it in your home, and that acts as the doorbell chime to alert you when somebody's ringing your doorbell. And then lastly, I went with the hardwired version because there's several factors that led me to that. One, I'm a licensed electrician. I don't mind doing electrical work, and really I wouldn't want to be spending my weekends and my time getting on a ladder, replacing batteries, charging batteries. It's just not something I would do. I'd rather put in the time and effort up front to just hardwire it and be done with it. Now, one thing that did surprise me was that when I ordered the Spotlight Cam Plus hardwired, that I opened the box and I saw it was Spotlight Cam Plus batteries showed up. And at first I thought I got the wrong product or something got shipped wrong. Well, it turns out they're the same product. The only difference is the Spotlight Cam Plus hardwired comes with this hardwired kit for cameras where you can kind of retroactively turn a battery system into a hardwired version. So that was something interesting. Lastly, when you hardwire your cameras, it gives you better image quality, and the quality is crisper and cleaner. And for me, if I'm gonna spend my time and effort installing a security system, I want to make sure that the photo quality that I get is as good as possible. before installing my system, one of the things I did was walked around outside, looked at my existing lights and kind of the setup where I wanted my cameras to cover around my home. In my case, I did not have a lot of existing electrical exterior lighting, and so I had to run all new circuits and new boxes to the vast majority of the locations where I wanted them. A lot of you at home may have existing floodlights that are in a good location, and in your case it's going to be much easier. You can just take the existing floodlight out, replace it with a Ring security camera floodlight, and you won't have to pull that wire or run new electrical. For mine, I wanted the cameras to cover all of my major entrances to the home. So in that case, that was the front doors, the back porch door, and the basement door. But after that, I really had a lot of areas where, they were uncovered, they were unlit, and at night, if I'm walking around my yard, I want to be able to see, and that's been something that's kind of annoyed me about this property for quite some time. And so I went ahead and bought 3 additional Defiant LED motion sensor lights to install. One, so that if I'm walking around at night, I can see what I'm doing basically anywhere around my home. And then 2, even though those aren't security cameras, in most cases, a bright motion light is going to deter anybody that's really snooping around or up to no good. Thirdly, those lights are very affordable and inexpensive, and really once those lights are in place and wired up, if I do decide to upgrade in the future to more Ring security cameras, I can easily just swap them out, and I really won't feel that bad about it due to the price for the LED lights. So if you don't really have a lot of electrical experience and you're not comfortable wiring up high voltage electrical current, hardwiring your system may not be the best option for you. Everybody's needs are different, and everybody's individual expertise are different. And so, wiring up electrical is not really something to be taken lightly. It is dangerous, and it can kill you. So, if you're just kind of a average Joe at home wanting to install some cameras around your house, those battery versions really aren't that bad. I mean, it's really, you put it together in a couple minutes, mount it to the wall, and you're done, and you have a security system. And you know what? So what if you don't get crisp, clean quality? You can see what's going on. You know when someone's there. You can make out people and cars, regardless of the image quality. Now, if you're replacing an old doorbell with a new Ring Doorbell Hardwired, one thing that you need to do is hunt down your existing doorbell transformer and find out what voltage it is. In my case, my existing doorbell transformer was 10 volts. And so that is not enough voltage for the Ring security doorbell hardwired. It wants 24 volts. If you're not sure if you can locate that doorbell transformer, generally you're just going to be hunting down a 2-wire low voltage wire in your attic or basement or wherever it may be. You find your transformer, and it's going to be etched into the nameplate on the back what kind of voltage it provides. So in my case, I got a Defiant tri-volt transformer. This kind of covers pretty much anything you need as far as low voltage. In my case, I used the 2 outside terminals to get 24 volts, but it has 3 terminals that, depending on the 2 terminals that you decide to choose, you can get an array of different voltages. So once I determined where I wanted my cameras at and my security lights, I went ahead and climbed up in the attic and kind of crawled around and made sure that I could actually get Romex wire to those locations. Before you start drilling holes, you really want to make sure that you're sure that it's going to work the way it is, because once you drill a hole, it takes a lot of time and effort to patch it up if you need to. So I kind of determined the best places where I could definitely get to. I pre-drilled a pilot hole and went ahead and used a 4-inch hole saw and a right angle drill to drill my holes. After the holes were drilled, I went ahead and pulled my Romex wire from the exterior up into the attic to my central junction box, where everything is going to head down to the basement and eventually to my critical loads panel. One critical component, if you're not an electrician and you're not used to pulling wire, buying one of these wire spoolers is really gonna be in your best interest. They make them where they can hook on a 2x4 stud, which is what a lot of contractors use for new construction, because there's always studs around a new construction home during the electrical phase of pulling wire. In my case, I just use the sort of floor standard mount where as you pull wire, it unspools it. So you're not gonna have a rat's nest and have everything tangled up. It's all gonna come out in one nice, clean, straight wire that can be stapled in. It's gonna be nice and neat and pretty, and it also saves you from needing really a second hand. So for my project, I installed a dedicated 15 amp single pole or 120 volt circuit for my security installation. And so the wire that ran from that 15 amp breaker ended up being 14-2 Romex. And so the other part is that I used the old work 4-inch round box. So if for other people that, again, aren't electricians, you can get a new work box or an old work box for really any electrical equipment. Old work is for retrofits, new work is for new construction. So new work, you'd nail it into a stud, they drywall around it at a later time. For old work, right, that's where you already have a home built and you're trying to install it retroactively. Those, you drill the hole, you put the box in, and you use a screwdriver or an impact driver, and it rotates some little locking tabs around that goes and squeezes on to your plywood or drywall or whatever medium you're working with. Now, for wiring up your cameras, it's pretty basic. Basic electrical. You're connecting your bare copper to ground or green, your white to white, which is your neutral, and your black to black, which is your current carrying conductors. Now, if anything I'm saying here is confusing to you, you may want to look into hiring an electrician for your specific installation. So once I had all my hardwire kits hardwired in, next I moved on to installing the actual Ring Spotlight Cam Pluses. I made sure they all had the batteries in them, because when the power is out, while my home is not backed up with solar and batteries, I want those cameras to continue to function. So they will still function based on battery power. And then once I have my critical load sub panel backed up with solar and batteries, I will have the ability to just have that running hardwired at all times. So once I had all my hardwired kits installed and wired up, I moved on to installing the Spotlight Cam Pluses. I made sure that I put the charged batteries in them first. And I played around with everything on the kitchen counter, read the instructions, and made sure I knew how everything went together before I was up on the ladder, just to make things easier. It is very simple. Couple minutes and you'll have it down pat. So I installed all my security cameras and moved on to the Doorbell Hardwired. Now the Doorbell Hardwired needs a little more room to get to terminals and wire than your average old doorbell, and in my case that wire was not long enough, so I installed a little 6-inch jumper, used some Wago connectors to connect the existing wire to my little jumper, and that gave me plenty of room to get to the terminals without putting any stress on the wire or the Ring doorbell. I built a little piece of trim around it. It doesn't look that great, but I plan on getting a new storm door for the front of my house in the near future, and at that point I'm going to redo all the trim around the door regardless, so I just cut a little piece of scrap trim to suffice for now. So I got my doorbell hardwired up and mounted. I went ahead and plugged in my chime in the kitchen, which is relatively in the middle of the home, where you can kind of hear it from anywhere in my home personally. And kind of from there, everything was wired up. Everything was ready to go, except one last thing, and that was getting my actual circuit that was running down to my critical load sub panel hardwired into my circuit breaker. Now, again, if you're not an electrician, this is the most dangerous point of your installation, because you're working inside of a panel that, if you touch the wrong lug, maybe you've got 240 volts, 200 amps, depending on the size of your service. So, what I did is I pulled my Romex into my critical load sub panel, I terminated my ground to my ground bar, my neutral to my neutral bar, and took the current carrying conductor or the hot wire and terminated it into my 15 amp security camera circuit breaker. So that was just a single pole 15 amp breaker. I got everything installed. I put my dead front cover back on, and I went ahead and hit my circuit breaker. So at that point, I kind of went around and started using my app to scan the barcodes. Now, I didn't do that actually at first, and a lot of the barcodes were hard to get to. So I actually just scanned the barcodes on my boxes and did it. Unfortunately, it'll ask you like, what camera are you scanning? And I didn't really know, and I had to kind of make it up and then go back and edit it. So if I were you, as I was doing this, I would take my camera, before I go to install that, I would write on the box, back door. And that way, when you go to scan the codes on your specific products to set up your system, you already know what camera goes where, and so you know what to name it when you're setting up the app. The app was really straightforward and simple. Mine did glitch up a little bit, but I think maybe that was because I didn't have the best Wi-Fi reception to some of my locations in my home. So I actually had to kind of reset, turn my phone off and on. It really took a while, but after that initial setup time, everything went smooth. I got everything set up on the apps. I got everything installed, and then I just started kind of walking around the yard, playing with the system, testing the motion capabilities, and just kind of getting used to the app. Again, it's pretty straightforward, really user-friendly and easy to use, and I'm not going to really go into too many details about that specific part. So after a few weeks of using the Ring products, I'm pretty happy with the installation. Now I am going to come up on my 30-day kind of mark soon, and that's when I'm going to have to subscribe to the Ring subscription in order to get kind of these bells and whistles, such as saving your videos and things of that nature. I do plan on subscribing to that and just kind of getting the most out of my security system. If you or someone you know are installing Ring products around your home, I'm going to leave some links in the description down below, as well as in my storefront for the products that I use for my installation. If you found value in today's content, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, press the notification bell, or leave a comment down in the description below. Again, I really sincerely appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, take care.